Hello, everybody, and welcome to this next edition of Mock Draft Monday. We are here to bring you another mock draft through the power of the NFL Mock Draft database. Of course, I used this website last week and I honestly like the way it works. So we're going to continue to use it throughout these mock drafts. If you guys would like me to go back to the Draft Network or maybe use another website out there that has a mock draft machine, please leave a comment and I will take your comment into consideration for next week's mock draft. And with all that said, I think it's time to begin our third mock draft Monday, and we are ready to go. So I think for this mock draft, for what I want to accomplish here, is I want to see if we can trade up into this draft to get someone truly impactful. Like Jermaine Johnson last week was solid value to trade up to get him. But I'm going to see if we can get someone truly impactful. But, of course, that is up to the database and fate itself. So, without further ado, let's begin. Also, side note, before we begin, this video is being recorded on Sunday, April 10th. You will obviously see it on Monday, April 11th. But at this point, the Ravens have signed Josh Bynes and Calais Campbell to their free agency, bringing back two of their own, and they are looking at Melvin Gordon, the running back from the Broncos, as a potential signee. Those signings, I think, don't limit the Ravens in terms of what they could do on the defensive line at linebacker or at running back. Obviously, I think linebacker and running back are positions you would like to take later, but defensive line is still a position that I think the Ravens could target early, depending upon who would fall to them or who they might like or who they might trade up for. So with all that being said, let's begin this mock draft and let's see if we can build a juggernaut for the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so we are paused here at number 7, and we have some players on the board that could be trade-up picks, but I think at this range, it might be too much to come up to get somebody like Charles Cross, Kyle Hamilton, or Derek Stingley at this point. So we're going to continue to simulate until we get to around the Jets pick at number 10. All right, so we're at Washington's pick at 11. Unfortunately, Derek Stingley did not fall to us at 11. Did not fall to us. I kind of wanted to trade up for him, but I think at 9 it was a little bit too much, and the Jets instead took Jermaine Johnson. So I really like this, but I do like the cornerbacks in this draft. But I think at this point, it's just a little bit too much to trade up to get one of them. The player that I'm really looking at is to potentially trade up for. It's not really anyone at this point. I think we're going to let the board fall to us. And if that doesn't happen, maybe we can trade down. All right, so we are on the board here at 14. And now we have a situation where some of the best players in this draft class are not available to the Ravens. So I think with this, I think it's going to be a trade down spot. We have the Packers looking to get a wide receiver. We have Jameson Williams available for them. We have Chris Olave. We have any wide receiver they want outside of Garrett Wilson. So I think we're going to make a trade with the Green Bay Packers to trade down to pick up more picks. I want 22. I want 53. And I want a third round pick next year. That should get the deal done for number 14. And let's get it done. All right, so the Ravens are on the board here at number 22. And we have some players available to them. To us, we have Tyler Linderbaum at 23. We have Andrew Booth. We have Devontae Wyatt and Nakobe Dean, a couple of Bulldogs. We have Kenyon Green. We have Zion Johnson, 2 guards. We have David Ojabo available to us if we really wanted to go down that route. But I think with this pick, we're going to go with a pretty impactful player. Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson is a really fun corner to watch. He's got really good ball skills. He is incredible. He's incredible at baiting the quarterback. He kind of reminds me of Marcus Peters, ironically, when he was coming out of UW, University of Washington. But Andrew Booth is honestly a really good fit for the Ravens. He's a day one starter if Marcus Peters or Marlon Humphrey aren't going to be able to go day one. I think he gives you an impact if maybe Marcus Peters wants. Maybe the Ravens want to get out of Marcus Peters' contract next year. We'll go with Marcus. We'll go with a Andrew Booth and Marlon Humphrey cornerback room going into years to come. And overall, I think Andrew Booth is a really fun player to watch. He has incredible ball skills. He's a great man corner. He's good in zone as well. I like Andrew Booth to the Ravens. All right, so we are on the board here at number 45, and we have some solid players available to us. We have Jalen Petrie out of Baylor. We have Travis Jones, defensive lineman out of UConn. We have Quay Walker, George Pickens, Sky Moore, Christian Harris, Perrion Winfrey. We have a lot of really good players here available to us. So, what do the Ravens do at this point? I think the Ravens are going to go with an interior piece here. Whether that's... Actually, you know what? No, we're not. We're going to go with a really fun player to watch. And that's going to be Daniel Faalele, the tackle out of Minnesota. A really solid tackle. He's a really good run blocker. He might not be able to start day one, but I think going forward, you're going to have a really good tackle depth room with Morgan Moses being here for the next 3, with Ronnie Stanley not really knowing the situation going on with him. We're going to need to get a lot of tackles. So Daniel Faalele will start a trend for this draft. All right, so we are now up at 53 for them, and we have a decent board here for needs. They're saying defensive line is still the biggest need. I actually don't think it's that big anymore with Calais Campbell coming in. But Perrion Winfrey is definitely something the Ravens do not have. This archetype of a player is something the Ravens desperately need. This is something that I think they could totally get. But Tyler Smith is available. The tackle/guard hybrid out of Tulsa. And I mentioned that the Ravens kind of could use a type of player like this in my other mock drafts. And this is, I think, what the Ravens are missing a little bit in their tackles or guard prospects in the draft. They don't have versatility to play either or. It's either they're guards or they're nothing else. And Tyler Smith adds that versatility. So we are going to take Tyler Smith here, Tulsa, out of Tulsa. This might not be a popular pick, but I think I'm justified in my being worried about the offensive line. It hurt the Ravens last year badly, and I'm not going to let it hurt us again going forward. All right, so we are now on the board here at 76. And we have a decent board. Maybe not the best board in the world, but we do have a decent-ish board. Tackles are pretty much all gone except for Max Mitchell, but I think we've done enough to help that out. We do have a couple interior pieces here in Cole Strange out of Chattanooga or Cameron Jurgens out of Nebraska. I think at this point, I want to get an edge at this point. And I think Josh Pascal could really fit the Ravens. He's tall, he's lanky, he's powerful. This is a really fun player to watch. And I think he fits what the Ravens like. I think Majai Sanders is, obviously I think he got a lot of attention for his bad combine. But I think I still like him as not a 3-down player, but as a really good rotational rusher. I still really like Majai Sanders. Sam Williams kind of plays that same role too for Ole Miss, where he's just a firecracker off that edge and is insanely explosive. But I think Pascal fits more of that long-armed, bull-rushing, hard-nosed type of edge rusher that the Ravens have always valued. So we're going to go with Josh Pascal here. We are waiting patiently for pick 100, and we are here at pick 100. So we have a lot of tight ends in the board here. Pretty much have our pick of tight end. We can get any tight end at this point we could want. There's pretty much no one unavailable to us, which is great. If we wanted to add another pass-catching tight end to help out Mark Andrews. But we haven't taken an interior defensive lineman yet. And really, the options don't really excite me all that much. We pick again at 110, we pick 119, we pick 128, we pick 139. We also pick 141. This is the Ravens' third round pick. You need to get a starter here, I think. And I'm going to be going with Isaiah Likely, just an insanely explosive tight end who adds more to this passing game than I think, honestly, a wide receiver would at this point. Mainly because I think just the overall missing of Hayden Hurst has hurt this offense for a pretty long time now. They haven't done anything to really replace him. It's forced pieces like Patrick Ricard onto the field and basically forced him into a role that maybe he's not comfortable with. So I think with this, we're going to get our best men on the field at this time, and Isaiah Likely really helps with that. All right, so we're in the 4th round at this point, and we don't really have a lot of truly amazing players available to us. You don't really expect a lot of amazing players to really fall this far. We could take, honestly, a defensive lineman. We could take an interior offensive lineman. Just not a lot of guys I would like at this point. Plus, Tyler Smith can already play guard as well, so that's kind of double-checked off at this point. Linebacker, could definitely use a linebacker. Brian Asamoah is going to be the pick here. Brian Asamoah is a really fun player, downhill runner, really physical, super fast, pretty fast. He kind of is like a bigger, almost like a faster Malik Harrison. Maybe he's not a day one starter, but I think he adds a lot of depth to the Ravens. And now we are on the clock here at 119. And with this pick, what are we going to do with this pick? This is a weird pick. We have Kyron Williams, we have Jalen Weidemeyer, Josh Jobe, and we're going to take another corner in Alonta Taylor. He's a really fun player for Tennessee, super physical press corner, kind of like the type of corner that the Ravens really value. He's gonna be a really fun player in Mike McDaniel's system. I like that pick a lot. At this point in the draft, we are at 128. We're in the 4th round. We're starting to build depth out in these picks. What really do we need? think we really need a defensive lineman. But I think at this point, 128, we're going to be taking. Just at this point, is John Ridgeway a better pick at this point? We're going to be taking John Ridgeway. Yes, he's a little bit of not a... Yes, he's a big, powerful... He plays nose tackle, but I think he can play 3-tech. He's super big. He's super powerful. He fits what the Ravens really like, and I think that's a really fun pick there with John Ridgeway. Our fourth round pick. I'm getting kind of tired of the 4th round picks. Maybe I probably should have traded up earlier in the draft to get rid of some of these 4th round picks. But at this point, what do the Ravens really want at this point? What do they really like at this point in the draft? I think they like to build out their depth at this point, and we've taken 2 corners. I think we're good at corner, I think. Wide receiver could definitely be another option, but I just don't see a lot of players I really particularly like. Safety, kind of the same thing. Tackle, we've already kind of hit it early with Falele and Smith. Interior, again, Smith kind of fills both needs. But we are going to take a pretty solid center prospect in Alec Lindstrom. You know, is this a little bit early for that? Maybe, but I think that right now their options at center are Patrick McCarry and Tristan Christian Cologne, TCC. At this point, I don't really like the depth behind Patrick McCarry, and Alec Lindstrom really helps with that. And again, we're building the best possible team. We need to bet out some depth on this roster. The offensive line needs some depth, and we are definitely hit it early and often in this mock draft. So, our last 4th round pick. What do we really need? I think we're going to be taking a developmental player, Michael Clemens. He's a pretty solid edge rusher. He's pretty solid. He has that kind of speed rusher a little bit to him. He doesn't really mix power to speed all that well, which kind of makes me worry that like he might be not be able to kind of take on NFL tackles when he gets there. But I think overall Michael Clemens is a solid player. Now we're here at 196. And I think Zamir White is a pretty good pick here. Again, Melvin Gordon has not been signed as of this mock draft. But even if they do get Melvin Gordon, I think Zamir White is pretty solid. All right. So with all that said, let's go over the mock draft and let's see what happens, and let's see where we potentially could have gone wrong, or where we potentially could have had better success. It started off with a trade down scenario. This was a trade down mock draft from the start. I potentially wanted to move up for an impact player, but just the value just wasn't there. I wanted Derek Stingley in this draft. I'm going to kind of show my hand a little bit in this draft. I really wanted to get Derek Stingley. I wanted to trade up to get Derek Stingley in this draft. I've just fallen in love with him, with the idea of him going to the Ravens. But it just didn't work out. The Seahawks took him at number 9, which is a very real scenario that could happen. And just I think that the Ravens just wouldn't be interested in trading all the way up from 14 to 9 to get Stingley. I think if they're going to trade up, I don't think it's going to be into the top 10. I think it's going to be outside the top 10, getting a type of a type of player that might fall a little bit, but hitting it immediately as soon as they're out of the top 10. But because we didn't do that, we traded down. with the Packers picking up their first second-round pick, which is actually from the Raiders, and a second-round pick this year at 53, along with getting a third-round pick next year. And with those picks, we took Andrew Booth Jr., really good cornerback prospect out of Clemson. He's got great hands. He's got amazing hands. He's got great ball skills. He reminds me of Marcus Peters a little bit. He's good in man, good in zone. Doesn't really do anything wrong. Sometimes can kind of get a little bit lost in zone coverage a little bit. Can sometimes over pursue. Hasn't started that many games for Clemson, but I think Andrew Booth is an incredible player, and I think his best football is ahead of him. And with our first second round pick, we took Daniel Fodolele out of Minnesota. A really good developmental left or right tackle. Ideally, I think I would want him at right tackle to take over for Morgan Moses if the Ravens want to move on. I don't really know if I want Fodolele starting in year one. At least not in year one. But I think he's an incredible. I think he's a really fun player to watch. Really good athlete, super tall, super physical, hell of a run blocker as well. Kind of like the tackle that the Ravens really like to get. Tyler Smith is next, the guard tackle hybrid out of Tulsa. We took him with our second round pick. And maybe this was a little bit of overkill, but I think in this scenario, Tyler Smith would play guard over tackle. And like I mentioned, the Ravens are missing this versatility of a tackle guard prospect hybrid. They kind of needed both, and they haven't been able to get any, unfortunately. Josh Pascal was our first third-round pick out of Kentucky. He's a really fun player to watch. Big, powerful bull rusher. Just type of edge that I think the Ravens really like. Isaiah Likely was our third-round pick. Adds a ton of value as a really good number 2 receiving tight end, something the Ravens have missed since Hayden Hurst. It allows guys like Nick Boyle and Patrick Ricard to play their more natural positions instead of trying to run routes out there on the football field. Brian Asamoah II was our first 4th round pick. He's a very good physical linebacker, super fast, fast as well. He's a really fun player. And he fit pretty well with the linebackers we have here. Alante Taylor is a big press corner. Really fun player. John Ridgeway, defensive lineman out of Arkansas. Big, powerful, long arm nose tackle. Developmental pick in the 4th round. Definitely someone I think the Ravens could target in the 4th round. Definitely someone I think definitely won't get starting reps this year. You know, if the Ravens have to get out, if the Ravens want an option when Calais Campbell eventually does hang it up, I think Ridgeway could be a really good option. Alec Lindstrom adds a lot of depth to the center room, which I think the Ravens need. Their only other options outside of Macari are TCC, which I don't particularly love all that much. Lindstrom is a very good center prospect. He adds a very high floor to the Ravens. And Michael Clemens is our last 4th round pick out of Texas A&M. He's a good developmental player. Maybe is definitely not ready to start day 1. Might not even be ready to start day 2 from year 2. But I think he overall is a pretty solid player and a developmental edge for the Ravens. And our last pick was Zamir White, running back out of Georgia. Even without the Melvin Gordon signing, I still think this is a really good pick and could give the Ravens some depth in the 6th round as J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards continue to progress with their recoveries from their ACL tears. So that is going to do it here for me on this wonderful Mock Draft Monday. Last week we hit over 100 views on our Mock Draft Monday. Thank you guys so much for these views. We're starting to grow this channel a little bit. I'm seeing you guys are really enjoying the Mock Draft Mondays. That's really fun to see. It's really good to see. I hope you guys enjoy this one as well. And next week, maybe we do trade up for that elite player next week. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, please leave a like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.